The official trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day was released last week, and it had a lot of hidden details and references that we need to discuss. For instance, why don't MJ and Ned recognize Peter? Do you remember who this villain is? And did you know that these ninjas have a link to Daredevil? Hi, I'm Mikey Roberts, and in this video I'll be breaking it all down so you know what to expect from the film when it releases on July 31st. Spider-Man Brand New Day is the fourth MCU Spider-Man film and the sequel to No Way Home, which was released in December 2021. It is also the first installment in a new trilogy of MCU Spider-Man films. The plot will revolve around Peter confronting a threatening new evolution in his superpowers while investigating a larger mystery. Before we go any further, I have to warn you that I'll be going into some very detailed analysis in this video. So if you haven't already watched the trailer, I highly recommend you do so before going any further in this video. As I said in the intro, we have a lot to talk about, so let's get straight into it. The trailer opens on a shot of Peter sitting on a pylon in his Spider-Man costume. He's looking at a photo of MJ and Ned on his phone before he puts on his mask and jumps off. After the Sony and Marvel cards, we get a shot of Ned walking into a milk bar while Peter watches. In a voiceover, he introduces himself and says that they used to be friends. At the end of No Way Home, Doctor Strange had to erase everyone's memories of Peter to save the multiverse after his spell to make everyone forget about his identity as Spider-Man got corrupted because of Peter requesting multiple alterations so that his friends and family could still remember. Before MJ and Ned forgot about Peter, he promised them that he'd find them someday and remind them about him. So I expect that to be a pretty sizable part of the plot. But it seems that he's making himself known again, because we then see a shot of him receiving the key to New York. But what's interesting is who's giving him the key. It's none other than Sheila Rivera. In case you didn't know, she was Fisk's campaign director in the first season of Daredevil Born Again. But why is she giving him the key and not Fisk? Did he lose a re-election? Or perhaps he was impeached for his many crimes? Hopefully we get some answers in the second season. We then see a shot of Peter swinging through New York City while escaping fire shots from a tank, before we see him getting hit by Frank Castle's iconic van. Frank is also known as the Punisher, and is played by Jon Bernthal. The Punisher and Spider-Man actually have a long comic book history together. In fact, the Punisher actually debuted in The Amazing Spider-Man number 129, which was released in 1974. As for Jon, he made his MCU debut in the second season of Netflix's Daredevil series, before eventually getting his own spin-off series that ran for 2 seasons, before returning in last year's first season of Daredevil Born Again. He won't be appearing in season 2 that starts this week, due to his solo Disney Plus special presentation that is due to be released later this year. Then we see Peter and MJ at a party, while a voiceover of Peter says that sometimes Spider-Man has to do the right thing, even if it breaks Peter's heart. This is a reference to how hard it was for Peter to make Ned and MJ forget about him. We see MJ seeing a new man, who is played by Esmond Esfandi, while Peter watches sadly. This is followed by a shot of him fainting, before we see a shot of him shirtless while tearing apart a web that he's trapped in. He tries to make his iconic webs come out of his hands, but fails, before the web breaks and he falls, before being stopped mid-air. But we don't see what saves him. We then see Spider-Man getting a full body scan. If we look at the file, the subject designation says Vigil-09 Unidentified Enhanced Operative. This leads me to think that the file belongs to the Department of Damage Control. They were last on Spider-Man's trail in Homecoming, so I wouldn't be surprised if they still have a file on him, despite forgetting his identity. We then see Peter visit a university lecture hall to talk to Bruce Banner, played by Mark Ruffalo. Bruce says that Peter's DNA mutations could be very dangerous, and we get proof of that in the next scene when Spider-Man crashes into a water tank. Then we see Peter lay flowers at the grave of his Aunt May. May Parker was played by Marissa Tomei and made her MCU debut in 2016's Captain America Civil War alongside Tom Holland. She appeared in all 3 previous Spider-Man films and was his moral compass. However, she was tragically killed in No Way Home after being fatally wounded by the Green Goblin. This is followed by a voiceover of Tremel Tillman saying that they are faced with a danger that they can neither control nor see, before we get a good look at him. Now, we don't know who he's playing yet, but the subtitles refer to his character as Bill. This could mean nothing, but of course, Bill is a common nickname for William, and there's been rumours online that he could be playing X-Men villain William Metzger. Now, you probably haven't heard this name before, considering that he only appeared in 6 issues of X-Men Child of the Atom before he was killed off. But in that series, he was the publisher of the Militia Press and an anti-mutant activist. If this is true, I think he could play a huge role in the future of the MCU, since the next saga after next year's Secret Wars is the Mutant Saga. This is followed by a shot of the back of Sadie Silk's character. Now, like Tremel Tillman, we aren't sure who she's playing yet, but the general consensus is that she's probably going to be Jean Grey, the psychic mutant from the X-Men. What's interesting is that although we know that most of the original cast from the Fox franchise are returning in Doomsday, Famke Janssen hasn't been confirmed to be in the film, so Sadie could be taking over the role from her. At the 1 minute and 58 second mark, we get a shot of Mark Gargan as Scorpion, played by Michael Mando. He first appeared in the mid-credits scene of Homecoming, where he met Adrian Toomes in prison. It was teased in this scene that he would eventually become Scorpion, and fans have been waiting for that moment for almost a decade now. But for a long time, it seemed that we would never get to see it. However, the wait is finally over, and I'm really excited to see him in action in the film. We then get a shot of him attacking Spider-Man using his suit's mechanical tail, and boy was it awesome to see it in action. So I'm really excited to see how he'll play into the plot of the film. I hope he has a huge role, considering how long we've been waiting to see him return as Scorpion. Then we get a shot of MJ and Peter in his Spider-Man suit. I think he might be trying to get her to remember him again. This is followed by an unmasked Peter taking out some ninjas. These ninjas are a part of the Hand, a mystical criminal organisation that are mainly known as antagonists to Daredevil. They first appeared in the comics in Daredevil number 174, which was released in 1981. They appeared as central villains in the first 2 seasons of Netflix's Daredevil series, and also appeared in Iron Fist and the Defenders, but this marks their film debut. The Punisher has dealt with them before, so it'll be interesting to see if he teams up with Peter to deal with them. Either way, I'm really intrigued to see how they play into the storyline of the film, and whether they have anything to do with Peter's mutations. After the title card, we get a final shot of MJ introducing herself to Peter. He says that he's just a neighbour, but she calls him a friendly neighbour. This, of course, is a reference to his moniker as your friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man, suggesting that a tiny part of her might still remember him, even though she doesn't realise it yet. This was a fantastic trailer. It had so much action, and as we've discussed in this video, a lot of Easter eggs. It promises to be a great film, so make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my review of it when it releases in July. Anyway guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now!